Hello, I'm Rushav, and welcome to the first episode of our video podcast, Antriksh Talks, Brands and Stories, where we talk to interesting people from different domains to gain insights from their particular journeys and to learn about the branding aspect in their specific and particular fields. On this special occasion of Teachers' Day, we have a very special guest. He is a teacher and a teacherpreneur. Very interesting, right? Mr. Rohit Ghosh is a former network marketer, derivatives trader, product evangelist, international sales and marketing manager, and has a solid reputation of around 2 decades of building products and brands in different sectors like, e-commerce, IT, ITES, education, and so on. And not only that, but he identifies as a full-time teacherpreneur and is the founder of SkillEdge, a great skilling initiative which has been skilling around 10,000 plus students till date in 80 plus institutes in just a span of 2 to 3 years. So Rohit, welcome to our very first episode and happy Teachers' Day.
Thank you, Rushav. Thank you so much. It always feels first nostalgic to come back to Antriksh because Antriksh was a very important cog in the wheel for us when we used technology before COVID and during COVID also.
True.
But you were very instrumental in ideating stage for our e-content and it feels great to see your growth also as a company. And after 2 years on this day, 5th of September, thank you so much for calling me and giving me this opportunity to talk about maybe finer aspects and of this journey, which has been incredible with lots of downs and a few ups. But yeah, would love to share that, and if that can inspire people, why not? But once again, thank you so much, and wish you also. I'm sure you also inspire many people as a teacher. So wish you also a happy Teachers' Day, and happy to chat.
And thanks for coming on our very first episode. To start off, we'll go through a rapid fire round. Okay?
Sure.
And it will be kind of a very time bound thing.
Sure.
So you'll have 5 seconds to answer. And
All
it has
right.
to be a yes or no,
Sure.
or maybe just one answer, like one word answer.
Sure.
Okay. So Rohit, what did you want to become as a child?
A researcher.
Okay. What was your score in 10th standard?
83%.
Okay. Define your 20s in one word.
Passionate.
Were you a first bencher or a backbencher kind of a student?
Always a backbencher.
Seems tough to believe.
I was. Very notorious and always a backbencher.
Okay. What would you choose? Very deep. Knowledge or time?
Knowledge.
Who is your favorite entrepreneur?
Ratan Tata.
Same here, I would say. Okay. Finally, since you have touched upon both these aspects over your long career, marketing or teaching?
I still consider myself marketeer after so many years. But I think marketeer because I'm just changing the rules of the game. I'm not giving one word answer just for this question.
Okay.
Marketeer because it gives me chance to interact with not only students but many people whom I don't know. And when they interact with me, I learn from them and they find some value. I call it teaching in any way.
Right.
Teaching is not only standing in front of a classroom and only talking to the students.
True.
So I would say marketeer. Yeah, I would say marketeer.
Okay. Cool. So, since we are talking about how the rules have changed even in teaching,
Correct.
it's not, a guy just standing in front of so
Correct.
many students and teaching.
Correct.
So, like when it comes to this transformation, like what are your thoughts? Like, from the traditional form of teaching and or courses to the present day advancements.
Sure. I am a very old school in terms of my thought process because I firmly believe the Guru Shishya Parampara till date. Where till date, if I meet my teacher, I will touch his feet or her feet.
Okay.
One thing can never change with all the advancements, which is an interaction between a teacher and a student. That can never change.
True.
Now, what can change is the ease of education or the boundaryless feeling of education, which means a teacher is there. You don't have to travel 20 kilometers to learn any subject.
True.
You can sit at home and you can learn. from the same teacher,
Right.
where you used to go to a school and learn, which is fine, which you can still do, but if you're not able to do so, technology will give you access to the same teacher.
True.
I think this has been a great addition. My take is very simple. Technology is to make the access to education easier. However, the fundamental remains the same, which is a teacher has to have that kind of intent, content and the knowledge and that service-oriented mindset to go one step ahead and help that student to achieve his or her dream.
True. What got you into teaching?
My father.
Okay.
All right. My father was a role model for me, where when he was in 5th standard, he lost his parents.
Okay.
So when he, those days, he used to be in 6th standard and teach the 5th standard students, right?
Okay.
I used to hear these stories from him when I went into engineering, right?
Okay.
I maybe much before that, but when I went into this engineering, when you are at 18, 19 years, something struck me and I was like, I realized that if I stand in front of a crowd, so this story was back of the mind. And then one thing happened, that when I was standing in front of a crowd and I was talking something, people were listening to it.
Right.
Which made me realize that, okay, if I know something, even if not 100%, I can communicate that in a manner which will help the other person understand and make me also more ready for that subject.
Right.
So the answer to your query, two, very objective answer. What has made me come into teaching? One, my father. And second, this inquisitiveness of knowing things.
Right.
I believe if you want to learn something, teach.
True. And as they say, teaching is twice learning.
Exactly. And yeah, it's a long journey. Teaching in garages during my engineering days to today, teaching in a computer room and or maybe at the comfort of my house and interacting with
So you did
students.
that, teaching garages. Nice.
Yeah. So I taught, so I was in final year and I was teaching third year students.
Okay.
So I had a big span of this 17, 18 years where I've coached more than 10 lakh students in India. Starting from engineering subjects to personality development to soft skill to test prep preparation, CAT, SAT, GRE, GMAT, GATE, all these test prep subjects. To now skill development subjects.
Right.
I think it's a long journey which has happened, but yeah, the passion still remains the same.
So I bet you were the kind of a student जिनके दोस्त आते हैं like कि भाई teach me this just before the exams give me the key takeaways and you were good at that.
So I would say yes or no both, because sometimes those days if the competitor is coming to me and asking, I will say no, I don't have the notes. But if someone I don't have a fear with, I would say okay, come, I'll tell you. So I would say yes or no both. But today when I reflect back, I was like, no, I should have told everybody the same thing. But I think those were those days.
Coming back to the last question that we did in the rapid fire. So marketing, teaching or other entrepreneurship as well. In all these cases, you have to be a people's person.
Correct.
If you want to be a good anything, a teacher, marketer, or an entrepreneur. What's your take on this particular point? You must have met lots of people, lots of teachers who might not be a good people's person, and how does that affect their personal brand as a teacher?
Sure. Marketing or marketeer, teacher, and entrepreneur. I think entrepreneur is a combination in a way. If a person is in edtech or a skill tech, then it is a combination of being a teacher or a content creator and a marketeer, right?
True.
But I want to pick up one point over here, and I want to go back to my master's time. So I did my master's of technology from Thapar, which is one of the good, or I would say top technical institutes in North India, which is in Patiala.
Okay.
Now, why I brought up this point is, there's one person over there, and he was my mentor, Dr. Yaduvir Singh.
Okay.
He is currently the head of the department of electrical department in HBTI Kanpur. Now, why I mentioned his name is, I still call him in every Guru Purnima and Teachers Day, and that's the connection. But he changed the mindset in me of what a teacher can be. So he was one of those guys we used to look upon for the way he used to dress for a 8 a.m. lecture.
Right.
He used to come with all coats, tie. You talk about branding. I think the word branding of a teacher I have learned from him. He was a BE, ME, MBA. So for me, a person having all these 3 degrees at that time, 2007, I'm talking about 7, 8, I was like, oh, a teacher can be an MTech as well as an MBA. and he was that personality where people used to see him. In the morning, he used to come at 8 o'clock with one particular attire. In the evening, he'll be in a different attire.
Oh.
So that was like, oh, a teacher can, and obviously it was not his attire only, his knowledge, the way he used to carry himself, but the way he used to carry himself, we used to love that way, that okay, we would love to be like that one day.
Right.
Maybe we are in the corporate or whether we will be in teacher, whatever.
Yes.
Right. But that is the way, that I had still that memories, and that has a big impact on the branding part.
Right.
The second one I would say, yes, it's very important to be a people's person. Now, there is one, in my opinion, over these years, to become a people's person, it is important to be a good listener than a good speaker.
True.
And I think that has been there with me for long time by seeing my teachers, my mentors over these years, that how can they spend minutes, hours just in sitting and just listening to an individual. And it's like a sponge. You have to become a sponge where you are absorbing,
Right.
Every minute thing of a person who is talking to you. That
Right.
person can be a student, that person can be a team member, or that person can be any other stakeholder.
Right.
You need to be a good listener to become a people's person.
True.
And what do you mean by a people's person is, can you bring, in my opinion, this is my definition, can you bring smile to anyone? Right? I believe humor plays a big role in my life because I tend to bring humor in my conversations somewhere or the other. Because that's what I believe is very important. Right? Can you bring a humor even in a tense situation?
Right.
That's something which can make the situation a bit lighter. And
Yes.
at the end of the day, we all are human beings with various emotions and various egos flowing every moment of the day. So I would define people's person, which is very important. The branding in this manner, that how do you look to other person? Second, if you are able to listen to that person completely, and if you can bring humor, I think
True.
these elements become very important. And as an entrepreneur, yes, I will add one more point. As an entrepreneur, you should be ready to listen and absorb rejections on your face.
Very
Right?
important.
It's not easy. It's not easy when somebody comes and say, no, it's not going to work. It's not very easy to say that your life is so I have. And God's grace, I was fortunate to come out for some of the top schools in India and abroad also. But I was doing this tough journey of entrepreneurship. When somebody comes and say, oh, you could have earned this much, but you're still doing this much and not earning. And then somebody says that, your idea will not work, right? Nobody is going to believe this. These are some of the tough rejections. You need to be, I'm not saying that I took it very happily when I started getting these rejections, but you need to be ready for all these things.
True.
I was not told. I had to go back, maybe sulk a bit, and then come back again with the same zeal. No, let's do it, right? We keep on hearing these stories. So I have lived those things in a way. But yeah, as an entrepreneur, I think able to accept rejections is also very important. You have to listen to people. Otherwise, you will feel you are the person who knows everything, and then it becomes a bit tricky, right? So coming back to that answer, again as a key takeaway, I would say one, branding in starting from the attire, right?
Yes.
Very important. It has got a big impact on my life. Second is listening. How do you keep on listening to people, which is very important as a teacher, marketeer, and entrepreneur, obviously. Third is if you can bring humor in your conversations. True. It adds a lot of weight to everything that you do. Right. And fourth, I would say, especially, as an entrepreneur, be ready to accept rejections.
True.
Be ready to accept your failure.
Your journey has been through the marketing phase as well.
Sure.
And you were at a point an international sales and marketing manager. So, tell us a bit about your journey, in that role specifically.
Sure. Rishabh, I have never imagined myself to be an entrepreneur, frankly speaking. Today, when I look back, I'm like, okay, this has also happened. But I think this has been a culmination of what has been my journey, because I have not worn a single hat. I have worn multiple hats. Right? So I was a part of KPO industry.
Okay.
And there I became, one of the companies in Mumbai,
Okay.
Navi Mumbai, I was an international sales and marketing manager. That role taught me, one, attention to detail. I would definitely like to acknowledge my manager at that time, who taught me attention to detail, which is still there with me in my journey till date. I think as an international sales and marketing, that was the first point I learned, that when you go to a meeting, right, you finish the meeting, immediately you should write the MOM, minutes of meeting, because then every minute detail you will be able to remember and put that, which will be helpful in any kind of discussion, all the more during pricing discussions, the more during customer service discussions, and so on and so forth. As a sales and marketing manager, you go on a lot of meetings. I think this is the first point I would like to highlight, that kind of experience I got, that your minutes of meeting need to be immediate.
And you're meeting a lot of people on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Right. Second is, it's important to have a very objective mind frame, that what is a fluff and what is important. Otherwise, you will feel that every meeting is important.
Right.
Now, this role also taught me that you met somebody maybe just for a networking purpose. The business will come not now. So you have to cut down your meeting time and maybe spend that time somewhere else, because you have your numbers to achieve as a sales and marketing manager, right?
Right.
So how to objectify a meeting which is going to be immediately converting into a business, or it is just a networking meeting which will eventually convert into a business later on, or it's just a know-how meeting.
Right.
So that objectivity is very important. The third, which is important, is you need to be not one, but multiple folds, maybe twice or thrice level ahead in terms of your working ability with respect to your team members. So for example, if your team member is not doing something, you need to be able to do so. So if you will say that, but this is not delegation. So my point is, delegation can only happen when the other team member sees this person is working too much and he's still doing my work also.
Right.
So I'm not able to do my work and he's doing my work. That leads to delegation eventually.
Right.
So that leads to empowering. So I learned in this role how to empower someone. You can empower someone not by giving work and not by freeing that person. Obviously, these are important. But what is more important is that person will see that, if I'm not able to do my work on that day, this person is doing. Right. He is my manager. He is doing my work and finishing the work on time. That makes a lot of impact to somebody's psyche.
Yes. Why can't I?
Why can't I? And that person lifts up his or her ability to perform.
You mentioned a few examples,
Correct.
Your teacher from your masters. So any special person that you would like to acknowledge, in your journey, who has been the ultimate mentor for you?
I think there have been many, Rishabh, because my engineering was in Pune. My master's was in Thapar, I told. I did my leadership program from INSEAD, France. Then I did my corporate life and plus my teaching life, right, parallelly. So there have been many mentors. So I can't name one. I would definitely like to highlight again 2 teachers in my life, which has obviously been a impact in my life. Not to forget the managers I had in my work, right? They are always, I will always remember them. But since I have to pick up, so I'll pick up 2 teachers. One is Dr. Duvir Singh
from your masters.
For my masters, is a huge impact, the way who I am today. And the second one I would pick up Amit Goyal. So I also had a good year of stint in Jambori, which is India's oldest test prep company for education abroad. Amit sir, so when I joined, I was reporting to him because I joined part-time faculty in Quant for GMAT, and then eventually I became one of those trainers who used to teach Quant and Verbal both in India. But for Quant, he used to be my mentor and go-to person, right? As a product head. He's still with Jambori and he's the product head. Amit Goyal, I think I have not seen a teacher of his caliber, not in terms of knowledge, but in terms of giving attitude, service attitude. I think I have not seen a teacher. I have not seen in my view like him till date, and it's just phenomenal as a person. And which I've told you those things, which is like adding humor, servicing attitude, like approachability, listening things. I think
and these people click all the boxes.
If I have to make a person out of these words, if I have to epitomize or idealize, I think I will idol these 2 people. I think these 2 people have a significant impact. One, Dr. Duvir Singh, and another is Amit Goyal.
You have taught thousands and lakhs of students in your career of close to 2 decades. So if you would like to mention a few special moments that you felt as a teacher with your mentees or students.
There have been n number of moments, no denial.
Yes.
But So I'll go with one moment when one of the students from a urban ecosystem. So I was a part-time faculty over there in that particular institute, and he was a MBA student in a suburban college under Pune University.
Okay.
And I remember one of the moments when he said that after my father, mother, if I can listen to anyone, it's you.
Oh.
That was just
touching,
too much and just touching for me. So that was one moment, right? That the way you have guided me, that person said, the student said, apart from my parents, it's you. I can listen and I can, I can always come back and talk to you for anything and everything, right? Another one is when somebody said to me during the preparation of GMAT, and once the GMAT preparation was done, right, so it was one phone call that person did to me, that whether I should take this paper or not. In that moment, one moment I said, you should take this paper, right? And that changed his life completely. Today, he's a successful person in terms of he's doing his IT career. He's also started his own business. He's graduated from one of the good schools, B schools in India. So he said, he's like, any important decision in my life, I will always remember you, that what you would have done if I'm not able to talk to you, what you would have done in this situation, I would take that decision.
True.
I think this is also very touching, that somebody believes you so much that,
like they're willing to, choose you as their North Star. And,
correct,
and
exactly.
think, what would this person do?
Exactly. As a teacher, we are only a catalyst.
True.
And I believe one thing, to be a good teacher, tell the student not what to do, what not to do. A teacher, then there is a trainer and there is a mentor. So to move from a teacher to mentor,
yes.
If somebody wants to consider you mentor, then you have to tell the person what not to do.
Right.
So that he or she chooses his or her own direction.
True.
By not wasting time. So I think that is very important, And in today's time, when we talk about millennials, where we are living in a world of instant gratification, it is important to talk in a manner which is not in a directive manner.
True.
Talk in a manner which is, this is what we feel.
Right.
In this direction, these are the bottlenecks. Now it's up to you.
True.
So a teacher is like that. A teacher to mentor is like that. Using your grey hair, you have to tell what not to do. So which we call in test prep language, we call it process of elimination.
Right.
In our school days, in my time, we are never taught, we are always taught choose the right answer. But if you have to score good in today's time, you need to tell what are the wrong answers.
Right.
So right answer will automatically come.
True.
I think it's the same logic, right?
Right.
So for example, we go for a movie, if there are 4-5 friends, my suggestion would be don't decide which movie to go. There's always a confusion.
True.
Decide what not to go. The eventual answer will come up. Like a restaurant also.
Right.
Where we don't want to go.
Yes.
So automatically where we want to go will come out.
That's a very great thought, It makes me think as well, if you know what not to do.
Exactly.
You're left with a few options and you know instinctively, what to go ahead with.
Exactly.
Be it life or be it branding fundamentals, if you're building a business, or be it entrepreneurship, be it something that you're pursuing as a freelancer on your own.
Sure.
There are some things that you don't have to do. And there have been, masters and authors who have laid down those principles. These are the things that we did and they failed.
Correct.
So these are the steps that you need to avoid.
Correct.
And apart from that, in such a noisy world, I think, we just have to adapt and, improvise and do something that's our own, which has our own trademark.
Correct.
But at the same time, we need to keep in mind, what not to do.
Correct.
And that is how the branding fundamental builds up as well.
Exactly. And I want to add one statement over here. When you say branding fundamentals, the concept of branding, there's always one theory, which is fail fast. Nobody says no. No one should say no to experiments.
Right.
But you should experiment not to win. That will eventually happen. You should experiment to fail fast.
Yes.
Because if you take time to fail, somebody else will come and go ahead. But the point over there is you should fail fast.
True.
Whether you are having a established business and planning to do something new, or you're starting a business, which is you're starting your journey of entrepreneurship. In branding also, suppose you did something based on your understanding of TG or your understanding of the market. Go ahead and do to understand, okay, If this becomes successful, fine. If not, then you can say, okay, I have failed fast. Immediately, I'll do something else.
Right.
Before the competition picks up, or because the market becomes crowded, or XYZ things.
Many brands are, very conservative, and they are like, let's play it safe.
Correct.
But in a world, where you have hardly a couple of years to prove that, your
Sure.
business is worth it, or else competitors will be, either way running past you.
Correct.
So, talking about branding, from
Sure.
that sense of perspective, tell us a bit about, SkillEdge in general. What differentiates it from other competitors, other
Sure.
players in the market, and how did you work on the branding of SkillEdge from day one?
All right. SkillEdge is a skill tech platform, so which is a part of EdTech. So we are we don't consider ourselves EdTech because EdTech is typically K-12 education.
True.
Right. We are skill tech, where we, using our app or platform, as we say, we prepare pre-final year, final year, and maximum 2 years working professionals. So it is like between 20 and 25 years of age. That's our customer segment. We prepare them for new age career. I'll define new age career in 4 to 16 weeks.
Okay.
And we do this with a vernacular flavor. That's something that is an added feature to our whole ecosystem.
Which is kind of truly SkillEdge,
In a way.
It has a vernacular
absolutely.
touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we are catering with non-IITs and non-IIMs as a ecosystem. We call it tier 2, tier 3, right? Whether a student is from a tier 2, tier 3 town or a tier 2, tier 3 college in a tier 1 city, we cater to that segment, and that's why that vernacular flavor is important. Now, as a company, so this is what we are. We have a reach of more than 4 lakh students, with more than 12,000 students have been part of our ecosystem till date, with 200 plus corporates, and we are the analyst factory of India. So which is we are building analysts. The new age career, we are building analysts, especially in technology enabled companies. So we are the master resource supplier to companies which are technology enabled for analyst profiles.
Okay.
So that's how that's what our positioning is. So we are the master resource supplier of analyst day one job ready profiles, fresher profiles for technology enabled companies. Right. KPI for a performance of a branding is how a customer is remembering your brand. Does it have a brand recall, first of all?
Right.
And secondly, does it emulate the same feelings with the customer that your brand has? Right. So our brand, if I talk about our brand, it is based on 3 pillars: passion, integrity, and wow. Okay, that's what our brand shows, and it is there in our SkillEdge logo also, because SkillEdge logo is of 2 colors, blue and green.
Blue and green. Yes.
The blue shows intensity, green is education, and the tagline is "We care for your career." That's what SkillEdge is all about. When we made the logo and all this was definitely
this was the thought behind the logo. Yes.
And how do we go about with this? We have changed our tagline from "Skilling Redefined." If you remember, it was "Skilling Redefined" to "We care for your career." Okay. So I would say we had become more human touch when we moved from "Skilling Redefined" to "We care for your career." It was more human touch. It was more emotionally attached to that customer segment, and I felt this was quite the way we are as individuals in the company, who are very passionate, who are very integral, and always giving the wow experience to our stakeholders, customers as well as team members. So that's why that branding aspect of coloring and the tagline came into picture.
And this changed tagline,
exactly.
makes you feel more like they are results driven.
Correct.
They want us to get industry ready.
Correct.
And that reflects in the tagline.
Exactly. Right. The another aspect of branding, I would say, is we did a lot of research. When I say research, primary research, by talking to people and our customers and prospects, that what color you are liking in the website.
Okay.
What color you are liking in our social media. So, one activity we did with every new joinee. So today we are a 50-member team. After the induction is over, the task is to go to the website and social media platform to figure out the errors and what you don't like.
And that's a task for every new
Every
joinee.
joinee.
Okay.
What you don't like, because you don't know the company, so there is
Right.
no bias.
Right.
Right? It is the first day, induction is done.
Mhm.
And mind you, this is all happening virtually. We
Okay.
still don't have office. We are an
Okay.
infrastructure-less company.
Uh-huh.
We are a 50-member team with 16 in Pune and rest are across India.
Uh-huh.
We still talk in Zoom. We still talk in Google Meet. Our processes are set in a manner where we are able to perform.
Right.
If not 100% optimum level, but definitely 80-85%. Anyway, coming back to that point, so we do this activity. Any new joinee, you have to tell the error and what you don't like. We know what people are liking. But
yes.
you tell me what you don't like.
What you don't
So
like.
this has helped us a lot in reflecting, going back, changing the color, font, the messaging.
Right.
Small example I will give you. 6 months before or 1 year before, our messaging was more assertive in our marketing collaterals.
Uh-huh.
Now we have changed into question format. So just to
Okay.
give you an example, SkillEdge launches X course. Example.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know SkillEdge has launched this course?
Right.
So there is a way the messaging has changed.
Right.
You know,
The tone
just
that you're
giving- yeah.
approaching with.
Yeah.
Yes,
So I'm
yes.
just giving an example, but I think it has got a lot of impact in the way we have the customers or the prospects are responding to it.
Right.
We
right.
have 21,000 followers in Instagram with more than 5,000 followers in LinkedIn. So, and these are all organic. So we have
Right,
not spent
yes.
money in getting these followers, right? I think, coming to so this has been the branding journey, and we keep on doing these kind of
minor tweaks.
minor
yeah.
tweaks. One more thing we have done in the company, every month once we do idea lab.
Okay.
So everyone comes up with some or the other idea. And that can span across branding, marketing, sales,
okay.
operations.
Uh-huh.
But we do come across many branding ideas. Some we
Okay.
can implement, some we can't implement. But we have followed this practice once a month. Today I go back and I'm saying, oh wow, this was also one idea which came 2 years back.
Right.
This is also one idea which came 2 months before,
Right.
which is like a very,
Yeah.
quite a good set
True.
of
Feels like a
things.
knowledge treasure,
Absolutely.
something.
It's like a
that-
treasure, yeah.
True. Like a blueprint, like you
Absolutely.
can go through that
Absolutely.
anytime.
So this is, I think, the journey of the branding part.
If we talk about, some other brands, like,
Sure.
in the same space,
Sure.
which are some brands that you look up to or
Sure.
look forward to?
So as a company, we are in the zone of higher education space. So we call it the college to job segment. Then there is a upskilling segment. And there is an executive education.
Right.
Okay. And these are all forward integration of college to job segment. Someone is in college to job. In couple of years, that the company will do something about upskilling,
Right.
because that is the zone of 2 to 5 years experience. And then the company will get into the executive education, right, which is like beyond 6 years and above. So as a brand, we definitely look upon to many companies. We may not have many competitors directly. Why I say so is because one company doing analyst profile skill development for a technical analyst role and for a non-technical analyst role, there are not many companies.
Okay.
That's why there is not a direct competition, right?
Right.
But for our individual courses, there is definitely competition, right? One of the companies that I look upon, and it is a unicorn now, is Eruditus. It is again founded by INSEAD, where I did my program. So they are founded by INSEAD alums. Amazing company. The way it has been built, it's very tough to imagine that sitting in India you can still get a Harvard degree, right? But they have brought that kind of education to you, something like that, right? Executive education. Another company that I would definitely like to highlight over here is, in many aspects, the way they are scaling up is an academy with their re-level. The way they are scaling up the re-level platform, I think that's one we definitely would like to emulate that in that manner. But it's really inspiring. See, Baiju's, White Hat Junior, I think they have all inspired us to build a company. I think maybe those were the companies.
Forward.
Yeah, those were the companies where we said, oh, we are so proud to have a company like Baiju or White Hat or maybe company like Topper. These are Indian companies who inspired us to get into this world of education technology or skilling technology. So I definitely would like to name those companies also. But yeah, so I think these couple of companies definitely I look forward. There are many international companies also, Rishabh. They are doing really good. And we do look upon to those companies. Some companies are there from Indonesia, couple of companies from US. But fundamentally, one thing is very solid in these companies is, which I want to highlight, is the content. I told you, right? It's a Guru Shishya Parampara still remains.
Yes.
And the base of that is content.
Right.
So the content and who is teaching and how is teaching.
Right.
So what you are teaching, how are you teaching, and who is teaching? If these all three gets amalgamated, then it's a different customer segment that you are catering to.
True.
With these companies, right? So yeah. So I think these are some of the companies.
And all these brands working in different segments, including SkillEdge,
exactly.
makes us feel amazed about how fast India is adapting itself to this new age learning.
Correct.
And we never thought this was possible, maybe 5 to 10 years ago.
No, yeah, we never thought about it.
Yeah, and this is happening at a rapid pace.
Very rapid.
Very inspiring, and I'm personally looking forward to SkillEdge, going to the next level and becoming a unicorn soon.
So yeah, so there's a term called Soonicorn. There's a term nowadays, maybe 1 year before this term I have heard, Soonicorn.
Okay.
Soon becoming unicorn. I know we are not in that zone. As a founder, I am not a big fan of this word unicorn. I am not. Not because I don't want to be, but it's just that, we would like to do good work.
Right.
When I say good work, we would like to create a sustainable business impacting millions of students.
Right.
Now, that's what I would like. Now, if that makes us a unicorn, why not? If that doesn't make us a unicorn, also I'm okay with it.
True.
But I would like to make a sustainable business,
right,
which is doing good work, bringing smile to millions of students, and maybe helping them to helping eventually the country to become Atmanirbhar.
Right,
that's what it's all about.
And the impact is what matters.
Exactly.
If you talk about your next 5-year plan, what would that be?
It's a question which have been asked to me, obviously, by my investors. Me and my team members also keep on, not keep on, but we also have thought about it, because that gives us that push, inspiration to move ahead. So answering your query, if not next 5 years, I definitely have a next 3-year plan, which is we want to reach to a level where we would like to be acquired by a top company.
Okay.
So that's how it is, right?
True.
We would like to get acquired, and because in my opinion, again, acquisition is not the end of the story. Right. In fact, by getting acquired by a when I say top company, a company already established, gives us more opportunity to impact more people fast.
Yes, more exposure, more scale,
and that too at a speed.
Yes.
You can reach to that level maybe in 7 years or maybe in 10 years. But if you want to reach in 3 years, 4 years of that scale, you need to. There is a term in today's time is co-opetition.
Okay.
So it's not a competition anymore. It's a co-opetition. Like you cooperate and compete, something like that. Okay. So it's a co-opetition. So I think that's my 3-year plan. As a company, we would like to reach to a level where we are creating impact. We are doing impact. We have a sustainable business, not burning cash. We are a sustainable business with millions of happy customers. And once we reach that level, I'm sure there are I would call it big companies, the unicorns, who are definitely would love to have a portfolio where SkillEdge can fit into there and impact more people at a faster rate.
Mergers and acquisitions
are
a form of blitz scaling in today's age. What's the most difficult aspect of brand building that you have faced till date?
The most difficult aspect is to know your customer while building the brand. When I say know your customer, because the more you know, the more things come out, because every mind is different, right? In order and to aggregate those things and to be relevant, so you have getting hundreds of ideas, and then aggregating some of them, and then still being relevant to what you thought about when you started the company. See, when I look back today, what we thought in our blueprint on a piece of paper, frankly speaking, is very different what we are doing today.
So you have had to pivot quite
many
a lot.
Times. So we did 3-4 times pivot. And I think that's the biggest challenge of a brand building. When you are a startup, when you are an idea phase, then you did MVP, right? Then you are a revenue stage, then you are a growth stage. So in all these stages, the brand, the word brand, in my experience has shifted. What we were when we are idea stage and now we are in the revenue stage. What we are, there is a difference. And is it a good difference? The answer is yes, because that's how the customer is paying us.
Right.
That's the testimony of it's a good difference. We were open for changes.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't say that, okay, if this is not working, we'll still stick to it. And let's see. The same concept of fail fast.
True.
Right? So this helped us to pivot, and that has also helped us to move ahead with our brand.
Right.
Not in terms of the way, not only in terms of the way we have positioned ourselves in terms of our tagline, but also in terms of color schemes, the values of our brand, and how we would like a customer to remember our brand, and so on and so forth.
Ultimately, the customer is kind of always right.
Correct.
I would say kind of, but yeah, always right.
I would say customer is where so somehow I will not use the word always right or wrong, but I would say customer is someone you would like to hear every time.
True.
You cannot say I don't want to hear a customer who is giving a good feedback or a bad feedback. So you have to hear a customer. Now, when you hear a customer, then it's your way of filtering it, which you want to take and which you want to leave, depending upon your brand.
True.
Depending upon what you want your brand to be perceived.
Yes.
So I think that's what I would.
Right.
Yeah.
And this process gets a lot more difficult when you're a B2C company compared to B2B.
Correct.
Now, B2B has it, much more easier, but B2C
relatively
quite challenging.
Relatively easier, but B2C, yeah.
So how did you gain your first 100 admissions?
So 2020 October, when we raised our seed round, I will consider from there how we have got our 100 admissions. Before that, we were doing instructor-led program, going to the college. So I'll not consider that part. But from 2020, as we have became private limited and raised our seed round, I think the way we got our 100 customers is through webinar.
Okay.
Those were the webinar time.
Yes.
April 2020
COVID,
to December 2020. Yes. COVID times. I took 400 webinars in 7 months. That was quite a bit. And in more than 35 to 40 colleges. And I think that helped us to get our first 100 customers, talking to those students post the webinar regarding our courses, and which eventually led to paying for the program. So I think, so how do I get my first 100 customers? Through webinars, digitally, I would say. Digitally is what we got our 100 customers.
Wherein you were there, at every stage of the process.
So, the process started with sending the request for come to a webinar.
Right.
Then the webinar happened. Data was collected. Then me and, at that time, we were only 6 people. Me and my team members were calling them and then talking to them, telling them about the program. And then it all happened.
A long way you have come.
It seems like, it's a big sigh. Yeah, it's a long way. But I think I would also like to add, I feel it's a 50% of the journey that we have come. Another 50% is awaiting. More challenging, definitely more exciting. Lots of work. But I think the fundamentals we still remain the same, which is you need to listen. You need to keep on experimenting. And you need to have a positive frame of mind where one end you are accepting rejections.
Right.
At the other end, you need to understand that if you have done 50%, the another 50% is also possible.
True.
Unless you have a team, you just can't grow.
True.
I'm very fortunate to have a team of people who, like me, eat, sleep, drink, breathe, SkillEdge. And I think that unless we have that kind of mindset, we would not have been here, whatever we are here.
True.
And I think the same mindset is required maybe at a 2x, 3x level. More sleepless nights. No holidays, no Diwalis.
What would be your advice for new startups and companies? Would be,
that is one.
Find a team like this.
That's to have a team. But the fact of the matter is you don't get the team on paper, on LinkedIn. You don't get this team in Naukri.com. You get this team only when you are ready to work hard.
True.
So my suggestion to any entrepreneurship or any entrepreneur, budding entrepreneur, will be 2. 1, fail fast. That's very important. You are at the age of 22, 23. Just pick up and fail fast. There's nothing to worry about. Even if you fail, the corporate world will like you because you have failed in an experience which is rare, right? So fail fast. That's 1. And second, be ready for rejections. If somebody says this idea will not work, definitely think through it. There can be a merit to that point. Right. And you may have to pivot your thought process. Right.
True.
I always will say one thing. If you are doing something which nobody has done in this world, don't do that. because there has been somebody who must have done it
Right.
and burnt his or her hands, and that's why he or she is not doing it.
Yes.
So just be careful about this.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying be ready for rejections.
Right.
For any entrepreneur who wants to, get into this journey. And the last point is, it's a very lonely journey. So if you don't have a solid backup of your family emotionally,
True.
just think over it. It's not a fad anymore.
Right.
It's not about raising funds anymore.
Yes.
In the current scenario, it's a very lonely journey. Nobody will be there with you. It's not that in the corporate ladder we say you are lonely at the top. It is lonely from the bottom to top. Right? The fact of the matter is that. So these three things I would say to any person who would like to get into this journey.
True.
Yeah. So
And talking about SkillEdge as a brand, I would say that was a trailer. Picture abhi baki hai.
absolutely.
And the
Thanks,
journey.
Rishabh. Yeah. Picture abhi baki hai. Absolutely, Rishabh. Yeah. We hope so. And I would like to reach to a stage where everybody loves that picture. And maybe it becomes a blockbuster like KGF, who knows?
Or Triple R.
A Triple R, who knows? Yeah.
Great. So Rohit, it was great having you here.
Thank
And
you.
It's my honor and it's my pleasure to have you as my first guest on this podcast. And I'll certainly pick your brain some more, maybe in a few months or the next year maybe. But I'll certainly trouble you for another
no problem, Rishabh.
chance to talk like this again.
No problem, Rishabh. I've always said this in the start of this podcast. First of all, thank you once again to call me. I have known you. I like you as a person. I have seen you grow your company, Antriksh, and I wish you all the best
Thank you.
to grow ahead. It has been a nostalgic discussion with you because many things I told you today, generally I don't remember those things. Now, through this podcast, through this interaction, I remembered those things, and
Right.
I could name few people which I adore them, I respect them. And yeah, I think it has been a great chat with you. So thank you once again for calling me, and all the best to you, to your projects, and have a good life, healthy life, and we will definitely cross paths.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay tuned and catch up on all our episodes.